Let's return to This Week in America. Here's your host, Rick Bratton.
Welcome back, everybody, coast to coast. This Week in America. A yearning for love and adventure evolved into a search for the meaning of life in the highly acclaimed novel, The Diary of Lady X, Song of the Sea by Mursalin Machado. Tony had a passion for travel. What started out as an innocent pursuit for adventure took many turns through love, tragedy, and disillusionment, and awakened his sleeping soul, setting him on a path of aspiration. The Diary of Lady X, a novel in 2 volumes, is filled with actual accounts. Reviews call his characters engaging and the story intriguing. Mursalin was born in Santa Cruz on the central coast of California in 1938, traveled throughout North America, North Greenland, Europe, North Africa, the Middle East, Asia, Indonesia, and the Pacific Islands. He's taught middle school in India, worked as a merchant seaman in the Pacific, as a counselor to emotionally disturbed teenagers in England, and became a certified hypnotherapist in California. His background includes music and art, 4 years in community theater, and 17 in the film industry. His writing began with stage plays and poetry. Mursalin believes that the experience he gained from meeting people all across the world has been most beneficial, generating the inspiration for his writing. Mursalin Machado, author of The Diary of Lady X, Song of the Sea, a heartwarming tale of adventure, loss, and love, is our guest on This Week in America. Mursalin, welcome to the program. It's great to have you with us.
Well, thank you, and good afternoon. It's a beautiful day here in California. I mean, just another beautiful day in L.A. as it usually is.
I was going to say, when is it?
As you know, it never rains here.
Well,
so we're okay.
It never rains in Southern California, and news would be if you did have a bad day in California. So glad that it's nice weather there. Really looking forward to having this chance to talk with you. What a fascinating background. What a fascinating author and talented author you are. The title of the book, The Diary of Lady X, Song of the Sea. Let's talk about certainly one of the main characters in the book, and that's Lady X. Who are we talking about with Lady X?
Okay, I'll just give you recite something from one of the pages because it begins with who was the lady, and so I'll just go on. And she was a small ship that had sailed the biggest ocean in the world. She was an innocent of 20 and an actress. She was a gifted dancer, an artist of the striptease. She was a teenage prostitute to keep her family from poverty. She was a mother and diplomat's wife in need of love. She was the lowest of the lowest caste, in love with a man of the highest caste. She was a woman of dignity, looking to the education of others. She was lying half naked in a gutter in Calcutta, begging for money for the wood for her cremation. She was a proud mother and still innocent. Most of all, she was a lady. So as you can see, there are several ladies in the story.
Boy, there really are multifaceted Lady X, and you've got my interest in the book now. No wonder it's getting the excellent reviews that it's receiving. The Diary of Lady X, Song of the Sea. Mursalin Machado, our guest on the program, give you information on where the book's available. And of course, you can find it on our website, and I'll do that as we go through the program. When does the story begin, and where does it begin? Take us back to the beginning of this story.
Well, the absolute beginning on the first page, which is just in the prologue, just to establish the first lady, was a ship that was built in California at the beginning, just before the Second World War began for the United States. And she was commissioned to join the fleet at Pearl Harbor, sailed across the Pacific, and the day before she was to arrive in Pearl Harbor, she was attacked by a plane which appeared to be an American plane, but turned out not to be an American plane. And that was on December the 6th. She sailed into port on December the 7th and was anchored along with the other ships when on that Sunday, December the 7th, the attack took place. And she was not damaged severely, but the ships around here, well, some of them were destroyed, but she was quite a small ship. She was to become a submarine tender. She was originally a seaplane tender, so she's quite small, only about 300 and something feet long. by sea standards, that's pretty small. And she had a flat bottom because she was designed to go up rivers and service hidden submarines. In any case, she survived the attack, and when one of the crew did a damage check the day after the attack, he discovered a mark on the ship's bell, a gash from a bullet that had come from a plane right after the word lady, because she was christened as Lady. And he decided to make a line on that gash and turn it into an X, and in respect of her loss of innocence, because this is her first experience. And so they wrote an X after the name of the ship on the stern and so forth. So she became just known as Lady X. She was always officially Lady. And then the story fast forwards to 1965. The ship had been put into a mothball fleet at the end of the war, which is a place where ships were saved for future use at the north end of San Francisco Bay. And in 1964, I forgot the year, she was given to the U.S. Coast and Geodetic Survey to survey the ocean floors of the world. Had gone on the Indian Ocean expedition to do that. And in 1965 is basically where the story takes off. And our hero, his name is Tony Lewis, he heard from a friend that the ship was taking on members of the crew, and they didn't have to have experience, which was unusual. But they needed related experience, but didn't have to have been working on a ship. So he joins the ship, to make that part of it short. And the ship is the cruise is to go up and down the Pacific Ocean between the Aleutian and the Hawaiian Islands, charting the ocean floor, which are the charts which became the basis for the topographical maps. If you look at pictures of the ocean floor, this is how this information was taken. That ship goes up and down like that, and for 3 weeks, and then they have a week off in Hawaii, and 3 weeks out at sea, and a week in Hawaii. And the story takes place in both places, of the various things that take place aboard the ship with the crew, and events out at sea with the storms and sharks, etc., and the relationships that he has with individuals in Hawaii, the friends and the girls. And this eventually leads to the disillusionment. And also what's going on back home in the meantime is another part of the story, the people he left behind.
There are so many aspects.
Yes, go ahead.
I was just going to say, so many aspects to this story. I mentioned in the beginning, multi-layered, just the background on Lady X. But
I'm leaving out a lot of them because I'd have to end up reading you the book. You know what I mean?
Exactly. If you want to find out more, read the book. It's just going through it quickly, you have my interest.
It's his relationship. Yeah, it's his relationship but it's also the relationships of the people he meets and the stories that they have to tell. It's like a web, or if you want a net, where everything is, all these strands come together and go off, and somebody who knew somebody who did this, and this happened to them, and on and on and on. It's just we're not alone. We're the more people we meet, the more our own story grows.
With us on the program is Mursalin Machado. I'll spell it now, spell it at the end of the program. If you're Googling, it's Mursalin. And Machado is Machado. The book is available at Author Reputation Press, at Amazon, Barnes & Noble, all the usual places. The title is The Diary of Lady X, Song of the Sea. You'll find links on our website, thisweekinamerica.us. And congratulations due for Mursalin's book. It just received the Gold Seal Literary Excellence Award. Congratulations on that. That's very prestigious and speaks very well of the book that you've done and the story that you've told. It has to be exciting for you. It's not quite getting a call for the Oscars, but real close to it in the book world. That has to be a good time for you.
Yes. I'm very pleased. I mean, it was a surprise to me because, in fact, I'd only learned about it yesterday. So it's good that I learned about it before I talked to you, because then we can mention that fact.
Yeah.
We can. Now, I need to include anyone who's interested in the book. It's the first of two volumes, and because the story is rather long, and I broke it in half, and the second half begins after he leaves Hawaii, disillusioned. He quits the ship which he was going to return with. He quits the ship and leaves everything and eventually finds a job on a cargo ship going to the Orient. And the rest of the book takes place mostly in India, but it's Southeast Asia, India, and back to the States. And the story actually ends where it begins, in San Francisco. And the people, we go full circle, and we find out what has happened to some of the story, along the way. So there are a lot of stories in here, not just his.
That's what's so fascinating that's what's so fascinating about the Diary of Lady X. Again, there are so many storylines that the problem will be you'll start reading, you won't want to put the book down and finish it tomorrow or go back to it tomorrow. You'd like to, another chapter before I go to bed tonight type of book is what you'll find this to be. And it's interesting. Talk about Tony's evolution. He comes from seeking adventure to actually searching for the meaning of life itself before the book is over. Talk about how Tony evolves during this story.
Well, that's a little complicated, but I'll try. The disillusionment really sets in. I mean, we have disillusionment along the way, but really serious disillusionment when you're really wondering what's happening to you and why is this happening to you. And that's when he leaves and heads for the Orient. He's always, not always, but for quite some time, he'd been drawn to India. And he didn't really know why. First of all, it was the music of India that attracted him, the classical music. And then when he got there, that he actually studied it, but then it changed to other things. It was the relationships and what was happening with people, the different aspects of society there, and in Burma as well. I'm sorry, in Burma and he first starts. He lands he's on the ship and he's restricted. The ship goes to China, but he's not allowed to leave the ship because he's an American. So then when he gets to Thailand or Hong Kong and Thailand, he's able to go ashore, and things start happening in Thailand, and then he goes to Burma. He has incredible experiences there. Someone he meets on the airplane to get there, and the people he meets in Rangoon, and then he goes on to India and ends up in Calcutta. Goes on, and he eventually joins a school. He teaches in a school there. I actually taught in Calcutta in a middle school. I taught 6 periods a day, and I was a homeroom teacher teaching English in a Sikh school. And on we go to what's going on. There's a war with Pakistan at the time. How that affects people's lives. He goes on, eventually ends up in the Himalayas. In the Himalayas on a trek to the Gangotri Glacier, which is the origin of the Ganges, the melting glacier, and the waters become eventually the Ganges. Back and so on, and back on, he gets onto another ship. That's in the second volume, which is the subtitle is Journey Within, and Song of the Sea is the subtitle for the first.
Oh, yes.
First volume, first book. Yeah, there are actually 4 books, but the last 3 books are contained within the last volume.
Such a wonderful job in writing and telling the story. The Diary of Lady X. Mursalin Machado is the author and our guest on the program. A lot of this, and I said in the beginning, this actually based on actual accounts. How much of Tony is Mursalin?
Well, that's kind of a secret.
Okay.
I'm not one for blowing my own horn, if you know what I mean. But on the other hand, I base my writings on my experience, and my experiences are not only the everyday outside experiences, but I have a lot of inner experiences, and I try to weave that in a way which is acceptable, because so Tony has these various experiences during dreams. So we have him having a dream, and he's dreaming something that's taking place back in the States that's very tragic, and he doesn't know that it's only a dream, and then he finds out that something is actually taking place related to that, and it's like a premonition he's having, and so that sort of thing comes and goes in the story. It's not a main thing. It just happens because we have dreams that just happen, and sometimes we can't explain significant ones, which are often termed true dreams, things that do take place eventually or took place long ago, and we weren't aware of it, and we experience it in a dream. So those are also in there.
You are a veteran world traveler, as I mentioned in the beginning, and we all think, boy, that would be a great life. But as we find out through Tony and the other characters, life goes on. It's just your scenery's a little bit different maybe than others. But besides the adventure, you've got real issues you have to deal with, don't you?
Yes, indeed. Yes. Everywhere you go. And not only that, but people sometimes go to get away, but no matter where you go, you take yourself with you.
Exactly.
You can't get away from yourself. But the experiences you have are often very helpful because you begin to see certain kinds of life through other people's eyes and their experiences and how they deal with it, their problems, how they deal with it. And, we find at the end of the day that we're just one big family.
The book is The Diary of Lady X, Song of the Sea. With us is the author, Mursalin Machado. A couple minutes left in the program. You started, you got a book of poetry now. Am I reading that correctly? Poetry? I mentioned that you've done that.
Yes. And you know what? I wanted to present you with a poem that was the one that inspired this book, and I'd be darned if I can find it. I have taken my place apart looking for that. And I'm not going to try to recite it because I don't want to get it wrong. It's a poem that I came up with that came to me a long time ago, and it was the inspiration for the book. I'm reading that, and I thought, I want to turn this into a book. Well, of course, the book has gone far beyond the poem, but it still says it. And when I find it, it's going to get included somewhere in the book.
That'll give us a chance
to put it in the first page or something.
That'll give us a chance to talk again. So you keep looking for it, and then hopefully we'll have a chance to talk about that.
If because, for example, when we get around to doing the second volume, because I don't want to present the second volume until the first volume is really moving, because it's a continuation, and I hate the thought of somebody reading the end before they read the beginning.
Yes.
Because it's an ongoing developing in his character with a beginning, a middle, and an end. But it's not really an end because, as you know, life just goes on and on and on. And even though the book ends, his life goes on too. And I'll be doing more writing. But the second volume won't be ready until after the probably in a while. But you and I may have a conversation again when the second one is off and running.
I would love to
and
do
I'll
that.
have that poem by then. But I also am going to eventually put out a small book of poems.
It's
Which I've
fascinating.
been wanting to do for a long time.
Your career, you've done so many fascinating, interesting things, and I get the impression your mind is active. You're still active and learning on a daily basis. Is that pretty well sum up your life?
Oh yeah, listen, I'm a very busy guy. My hobby is restoring old British cars and motorcycles.
Ooh, interesting.
And so I spend a lot of time with that. And I have a family. I have grandchildren, and I can tell you everything keeps you busy.
Well, you have a great
and
imagination.
I feel great.
A great imagination as well.
I won't have to tell you how old I am, but you got my birth date there, so you can work that out.
Yeah, and I debated, whether I should mention that or not.
I'm not a young guy.
Well, you give us all something to look forward to because I love your enthusiasm, your passion, your writing talent. Mursalin Machado, our guest on the program. I'll spell it, so if you're going to Google it, you'll know what we're talking about. That's Mursalin. And Machado is Machado. The book is The Diary of Lady X, Song of the Sea. You'll find it at authorreputationpress.com. You'll find it at Amazon, the usual places in various formats. And if you go to our website, thisweekinamerica.us, you can link on directly to get information on the book, The Diary of Lady X, Song of the Sea. Mursalin, it's been a pleasure. Time has gone by way too quickly. Look forward to having you back on the program. And again, congratulations, the book winning the Gold Seal Literary Excellence Award. And congratulations on the success. Look forward to talking about Book 2, Volume 2. Thank you for being with us on the program.
Thank you very much. Pleasure talking to you.
Thank you. The book is The Diary of Lady X, Song of the Sea. You'll find information on our website, thisweekinamerica.us. And we're back on today's program after these messages.
This Week in America is online. You can visit our website, thisweekinamerica.us. Scott Pinkerton, associate producer of This Week in America. Jay Anderson, segment producer. Ben Watson, webmaster. Otto Bechet, director of engineering and TV production. This Week in America produced and is a trademark of Blue Funk Broadcasting, LLC. For information on all of our guests and to listen to this week's show, our website again at thisweekinamerica.us. And I'm Sean Bratton, executive producer of This Week in America.